morning. I'm Cecilia. I'm a crofter in North Carolina, and this is our livestock guardian dog in training, Aspen. This is not going to be a chore video, but I do have to make sure everybody is happy and fed for the morning before I can get started. So come along with me, and I'm going to give you a little bit of background so you understand why this is only my second year growing a garden. For anybody who's new to the channel, or maybe you just followed for a little while and haven't watched the one video I actually posted about this topic that I'm just going to briefly go over. We did not move to our property with the intention of homesteading. We are a military family. We got orders to North Carolina, Eastern North Carolina, and because I own horses, we decided that boarding them was getting a little bit expensive and we would rather invest in our own land than to continue paying somebody else. So we went looking, found 3 properties. This area 2.5, 3 years ago was decimated by a hurricane and was still in a recovery phase. So a lot of this area is prone to flooding, has damage, and there wasn't just a lot of what we needed a home that was ready to move into. We needed a place to keep the horses, and this was actually the only candidate after my husband came and looked that qualified. So he came up, I didn't see the property, and we became homeowners. So that's how we came here, but that is not why we started homesteading, and neither was COVID. So we moved in the end of 2019. We got the house situated, and we started clearing land for the horses to make more room for those guys. And after that, I really started to get thinking, because we live in a very agricultural farming community, that we had all this space and we could do more for ourselves. So my first step was to go ahead and find some rabbits. I really wanted to raise rabbits for meat. Matt actually likes squirrel, and we don't have a ton of squirrel, so I thought, let's raise rabbits. And so that was early 2020. And about that same time, we got meat chickens, meat turkeys, and enjoyed that whole process. And I did garden last year. I tried. Mostly I threw seeds in dirt and prayed. And it worked. Things grew. I wouldn't say they grew terribly well. We didn't replace much of our food, but I definitely learned a lot from that experience. I learned that I had to start way ahead of when in May, that I could be growing. I learned about starting my own plants. I learned a lot about what we would actually consume and needed to produce more of to replace what we were purchasing in a grocery store. What many of you may not know is that I'm actually mostly a vegetarian. And not by any moral high ground or necessarily a personal choice from when it started. I was raised vegetarian, so I've never had any kind of red meat or pork. I don't even know if I've tried fish. I eat chicken maybe a couple times a year, and that's only because I like barbecue sauce. If it tastes like chicken, I don't like it. So, you would think that my priority would have been the garden. But being experienced with animals and inexperienced in the garden, it just wasn't my priority that year. And my family eats meat, so I raise the animals for them. We raise the rabbits, chickens, and turkeys for meat, and we raise the goats, which I do enjoy. We raise them for milk, so dairy. We don't have a dairy, we don't have a meat breed. We have dairy goats. Now, you would think you're a vegetarian. You should know how to grow your own food. Not the case. Most vegetarians don't grow their own food. Most vegetarians go to the farmer's market and buy their food. And it is our goal to become much more self-sustainable and self-reliant than to continue being consumers. So we are actually heading into the house today because we are going to start at the beginning. At the beginning, I mean with plant starts, which is new to me. I did a few starts last year. Not terribly successful. Purchased most of my starts, and it's amazing what people produce from a teeny pack of seeds, just ounces of genetic material, and turn it into hundreds of pounds of food. So we are going in there and we are going to get our own starts going. Welcome to the kitchen. So this is my shelf that I want to put my growy stuffy on. And it's looking a little messy. So first order of business is going to be to clean this all off. We've got pumpkins, aspens, uneaten breakfast, some jars. These we use for the rabbits in summer. We make big ice blocks out of them. Seed. These are medical supplies for the goats. Incubator and kind of a worse for wear Donald Trump doggy chewy toy. So I'm gonna get this cleaned up and hang on. I've seen this work for other people, so I'm gonna give it a try. Ta-da! Okay, just kidding, that took an hour. But I have my, let's see, I put 2 more shelves in. I moved these down. So I'm gonna be using this shelf and possibly that shelf, but I only have 2 lights, so probably not. But I picked this area. The south-facing window gets really warm during the day, so I think it will work for this purpose. Okay, so hopefully lighting's okay for this. Not sponsored, who would sponsor me? But I'm just gonna give you a rundown, and I kept my receipts for anybody who's going into the same thing. These shelves we get at Lowe's. We had this one, but I think Matt said they run around $75. But they're great because you can change the level and amount of shelves that you have. So for lights, I'm going with the super cheapy, and it took me about 20 minutes to find these because they're on the very bottom shelf at Lowe's. Shop lights. These were, wrong receipt. These were $17.96 each with a military discount, $1 off, so $16.96 plus tax. And I got 2 of them for lights. So I watched a video. Jill, I think the last name is Winiger, posted about using regular lights instead of grow lights. Grow lights were really expensive, and we're trying to stay on the down low. So we're gonna try this and see if it works, but she said to get bulbs as close to 7,000 Kelvin as possible. And these are, let me see, 65K Kelvin. Hopefully you can see that. And for a pack of 2, blah, blah, blah. They were $9.98 each. So each bulb is about $5 with military discount. So my total for just the lights was $53.72. All right, next up, and I just grabbed what Lowe's had because I hate shopping and I didn't want to look around and it didn't seem that expensive. I got 6 of these trays, which I will definitely, they're sturdy enough to be reusable. And those were seed strip, nope. Jiffy strip, nope. The tray, $2.68 each. $14.48 with military discount. So $14.48, about $15 for 6 of these reusable trays. I went with the Jiffy strips. I used these last year and had some pretty good success with the few starts that I did myself way too late in the season. So these were $2.59 for, there's 32 cells in here, and I do want to get the reusable cells. But for this year, it was there. They didn't have the reusable trays, so I just grabbed a bunch of these. I can always get some of the reusable trays later. That is definitely more fiscally responsible. All right, and I am going with, again, this is all that they had, Miracle Grow Seed Starting Potting Mix. And I would like to do this 2 different ways. I'm gonna use the potting mix just by itself in a few, and I'm going to mix the potting mix with rabbit poop for another tray, and I'm gonna see if there's any difference in our growth rate. So these bags were $4.98 a bag, and it's not a lot, but I don't need a lot for starting seeds. So for my trays, my Jiffy strips, and my starting mix, I had a total of $37.44. And for the light setup, I had a total of $53.72. And if I get 2 growing years out of each of these bulbs, which I'm hoping for, if I don't break any, I'll be super happy, and they'll really have paid for themselves, because that's $2.50 a bulb per year. So that's kind of what I'm hoping for. But I'm gonna get these lights put together and set up. Okay, lights are set up. I gotta go back for more bulbs, but not gonna win any beauty contests or better homes than gardens, but it should grow some plants. So a few other things that I got grow trans pots. So these, I think these are 4-inch little drainy things. For the larger plants, I'll move them into these before we move them into the actual garden. That is 120 of those for, I think it was $15 on Amazon. I also ordered these for $6. There's just over 100 in here. However, the trans pots, which I didn't see listed, came with 100, so I didn't even need them. But I've got enough for a few years now. I'll reuse them because we'll plant a lot of the same stuff. Last year, what I noticed is I planted too much, not too much in volume, but too many things. So I wanted to focus a little more. One thing that I'd really love to replace is we use a lot of bell peppers and tomato sauce. So if I can make just a tomato sauce, and I mean can it, which is funny because I've never canned, aside from blueberry jam that I made when a friend was here. But anyway, I'd like to can it and have enough to get us through the year, because we go through quite a bit of tomato sauce. We like our pasta. So anyway, I ordered from True Leaf. I had a $10 discount code. If I ordered $50, I ordered $55, because if I got to $45, it gave me free shipping. So for $45, here's what I got. I got 2 packs of San Marzano tomatoes, 1 muscalin mixed salad greens, which I like rocket salads, and I think that's the European term. Here, I can't remember what they call them, but spicy lettuce mixes. Red Reuben basil, sweet lilac bell pepper, large leaf basil, we love basil, Golden Cow Wonder, it's a yellow pepper, and big red sweet red pepper. We'll go through no less than probably 8 to 10 bell peppers a week. So we definitely need to grow a lot of bell peppers. Regular Roma tomatoes, romaine lettuce. Let's see, I got some alfalfa sprouts. I remember sprouting as a kid and it not being terribly difficult, and I've heard plenty of people say it's not, so we're gonna try the alfalfa sprouts and kind of learn how to do that again, and hopefully do some other sprouts, because I like those big, I don't even know what they are, the big sprouts. But anyway, we got cantaloupe melon, yellow baby doll hybrid melon, which I'm really excited about. It had a pretty yellow inside, and when we did melons last year, we didn't do watermelons, but we did cantaloupe, and watermelon does grow really well here, so we're gonna do that. Rainbow carrots, sugar baby watermelon. They're a smaller melon, but they're more traditional looking. Golden self-blanching celery. Davin requested that. Contender bush beans and cash flow hybrid zucchini. So a lot of these are actually heirloom varieties, and they don't say it on here, but I went through and marked them H so that I know to keep seeds, and I'm hoping that if they do well, we'll be able to use those seeds for next spring. And then I have seeds left over from last year. From our local garden center, we have, and I'm not going to plant all of these this spring. Some of these will go in a fall garden, but turnips, red ruby lettuce, cauliflower, leeks, I don't know what this is. What is that? Oh, kale, which our kale did amazingly. We had so much kale. Oregano, I would like to grow and dry our own herbs. Matt is going to build a herb kind of growing box on the back for me later this year. Broadleaf sage, rosemary, thyme, all your regular ones. I have some tomatoes, leftover carrots, some purple beans. What are these called? Royal Burgundy bush, and they grew really well last year. We have some different cucumbers, extra lettuce seeds that I'll use, squash, cantaloupe, radishes. I love garden fresh radishes. They're so much more flavorful than what you buy in the store. But what I'm going to do is go ahead and plant tomatoes and bell peppers today, get them under the lights once I get more lights, and I will report back on how our country bumpkin setup does on a budget. So y'all take care, have a wonderful weekend, and I will see you next time.